Hi, I'm Raquel and welcome back to my channel. Today, I have for you my part 2 of my urban recommendations. Part 1 was the worst tropes in romance. If you haven't watched that, I strongly recommend you go back and watch that one for a little more in-depth view of some tropes that I have a problem with in romance and how urban fantasy gets them right or does them better. This video, we will actually be getting into my urban fantasy recommendations for you. Now, I didn't want to just do a list video of my top 5 urban fantasy recommendations, although I will be doing that. I do want to show you my favorite urban fantasy recommendations, from my least favorite to my most favorite, but also with a little bit of a twist, because I know that not every reader is the same. Even if you read in the same genre, you could read in that genre for different reasons. So because of that, I thought it would be fun to give each book its own little accolade. I don't know if you've ever researched any type of electronic, like laptop or even blender, but you might have come across those websites that give you multiple options of, let's say, a blender, but they will list them by, this is the best for your budget. This is the best high performance blender. And this is the best overall blender. So I thought it would be fun to do something like that, but with books. I hope that you pick at least one of these books to read. I think you can't go wrong with any of them, especially my number 1 pick or best overall pick. Now, before we get into it, I thought that it would be only fair to give you a brief definition of urban fantasy. Urban fantasy, quite simply, is what it says on tin. It is a fantasy story that takes place in the modern age, usually in a city, but not always. And it is a great alternative for those of us who like fantasy, but are kind of tired and sick of the whole medieval European aesthetic, and we want something a little bit more fresh. And urban fantasy also doesn't deal with those old school fantasy genre medieval type tropes. What I mean by that is you will actually get people of color who aren't just slaves. Or you will have women characters and without the needed historical context of misogyny. Because, like, even though these stories are fantasy and sometimes don't even take place in our world, they still have the same type of misogyny. I don't understand it. I don't like it. I don't read it. Not knocking old school fantasy. I like Lord of the Rings as much as the next nerd. I did not like, there was only like, what, 2 black people in the movie? Could have done without that. But it's a product of its time. What can you do? Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into these recommendations. Also, 2 things. If I look down, it's because I have my iPad, which has my notes on it. And 2, some of these I did read on audiobook, so I will let you know which ones those are, because I do think that could impact how you enjoy the book. Coming in at number 5, we have Mischief and Monsters by Alice Winters. This, so far, is a duology. This may change in the future. Alice Winters as an author is very, very prolific. They have a multitude of book series spanning from contemporary to urban fantasy. I will say that if you read many of her books, you will notice that the characters are some type of variation on each other. Take that how you will. It is just something to be aware. And I'm not saying that any of these books are perfect, but I do think they are worth your time. And that does include this one by Alice Winters. This book series, Mischief and Monsters, is best for comedy lovers. How she writes her characters is very comedic, very snarky. You gotta love a bit of snark. So for those of us who are fans of the Mortal Instruments and Jason lovers, these are the books for you. The plot is as follows. Declan, a retired monster hunter, gets pulled back into his old life by his former organization only to come across Lake, a man who claims to be human but keeps talking about Declan like he's edible. And worse, flirts with him. Ooh. Both books follow Declan and Lake as they uncover secrets of Declan's old organization and the monsters they hunt. Like I said, this book is very funny. It has amazing snarky leads. And to go along with that, it has one of my favorite tropes. And you will notice that most of these books have this trope, which is found family. And it's such good found family. This book has that flavor of found family that isn't just a group of friends who are really close-knit and share a bit of trauma, but they have a found family aspect of they actually feel like a family. Like you have the dad of the group, you have the big brother, you have the rambunctious little brother. It is just filled with these wholesome and fun family dynamics that I just can't get enough of. Although it's about monsters, there's not that much gore. It is very light and fluffy. For the most part, it does get deep on occasion, but it doesn't go past the Earth's mantle. Okay, there's a little geology joke for you. But overall, I highly recommend this book, especially for those of you who like your leads on the snarkier side. Okay. Oh, and if I have any goldfish owners in the audience, this book is a special little treat for you. Coming in at number 4, we have San Amaro Investigations by Kai Butler. The first book in this series is called Wormwood Summer. There are 7 books in total in this series. This book series is perfect for lovers of the Fae. I know that the Fae are pretty big right now, especially in the romantasy genre. I would not consider this book romantasy. Is it a romance and does it have fantasy? Yes, but I don't think it has the same tropes or writing style that most popular romantasies follow. If you do love Fae, especially if you like your Fae conniving, a little twisted, and very much they're only looking out for themselves with a lot of political intrigue going on in their courts, this is the book series for you. So this book follows Parker Farrow, a changeling. And if you don't know what a changeling is, it is a Fae that was switched at birth with a human baby. And they live their child life, their adolescence, as if they were human until they discover their Fae lineage older in life. Parker Farrow works as a paranormal PI in San Amaro. His life gets very complicated when the cop he has a crush on asks for his help solving a werewolf murder. At the same time, he has to repay his debt to the Fae Queen. In order to prevent a paranormal war, he has to find out whoever is behind the werewolf murders, pay his Fae debt, and try not to fall for Nicholas King's charms. This is one of the books that I read on audio. I adored the narrator, first off. He's amazing. One of the reasons why I love audiobooks so much, not only are they convenient, this is gonna sound completely inane, but it is like I am listening to a TV drama. Why didn't I just compare it to a podcast, like a scripted podcast? I don't know. That's how it feels. It's very engaging. It sometimes elevates my experience of a book. So yes, Parker Farrow is a PI in this fictional city of San Amaro. And in this world, you have all kinds of fantasy creatures like werewolves, vampires, the fae, succubi, alchemists, and witches. And what I love about this series is that for the magic creatures like witches, alchemists, they're different. You have different types of witches, and you have alchemists, which their magic is quite different from witchcraft. And you have this sort of social hierarchy amongst those who practice witchcraft and those who practice alchemy. Those who practice alchemy, think of them as entitled academics. And those who practice witchcraft, think of them more as blue-collar workers. It's quite interesting. But something that they both have in common is that they both hate the Fae. In this world, the Fae have a very bad reputation. Also, they are treated almost as a folk tale because Fae have not been seen for quite some time. So it's a part of their history that they know happened, but it was so long ago, many don't really believe it. And if they do, it's very removed from their day-to-day life. But because of this, because of the perception of the Fae, our main character, Parker Farrow, has to keep it a secret that he is Fae. He gets away with this by telling people his brand of witchcraft is a kitchen witch, which is basically, they are the embodiment of that phrase, a jack of all trades, a master of none. So that's how he gets away with keeping his Fae identity on the down low. That alone makes Parker Farrow as a character very interesting because not only does he have to help the people who look down upon his kind, but also he has a very tumultuous relationship with his kind. This isn't really a spoiler because it happens so early on in the first book, but when he was young, he found out he was Fae, they actually came and got him and took him back to the land of the Fae. And he was raised up in their courts, but he had a very negative experience, and that colored his own perception of the Fae. And like the plot described, he became in debt to, I think she's the Summer Queen in the Fairyland. They have 4 courts for each season. And I believe he is specifically indebted to the Summer Queen, and she is a tyrant. She's an awful person. So unfortunately, it really did color how he views the Fae. But he also knows that not every Fae is despicable like the Summer Queen. So he also doesn't subscribe to the, I really don't want to say human, because a lot of them aren't human, to the non-Fae notion that they're all monsters who are out to get you and steal your children. Never mind that he's a changeling. So that, the social aspect of that is quite interesting. And if you want, you could, is it ascribe? Prescribe? You can prescribe a lot of real world social commentary onto this part of the book. But even if you don't, it's still just a great fun ride. It has a mystery that Parker is trying to solve in each book, and it has an overarching plot. Also, the love interest is a person of color. The cop, he is black, which is fun. Love to see it. I will say that one of my critiques of this book, because like I said, none of these books are perfect. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that for you. But one of my critiques is, although yes, like I said, this book is for the Fae lovers because our main character is Fae and it deals with a lot of Fae politics, and that's very interesting. I do think that this series could benefit from Parker delving even more into his Fae lineage and embracing that side of himself, but I understand why he doesn't, because he does have a tumultuous past from his experience growing up in the Fae courts. So I understand that, but hopefully, like I said, I'm on book 4, I believe, so hopefully in further books, he does heal that part of his past, and he can explore his Fae lineage a bit more openly and proudly. Other than that, it's a great series. It's very fun, has fun mysteries, has fun action, and it also has found family. Like I said, we love to see it. The found family in this is amazing, and this one is also quite unique because what I didn't mention is that Parker Farrow is a foster child. He grew up in the foster system, so he has foster parents and he has a foster sister who, to him, there is no distinction between a biological sister and a foster sister. That is his sister. And I love that about this book. As someone who was adopted, it rang very true to me, and I was not raised in the foster care system, so I can't speak to that. But as, like I said, someone who was adopted, this familial bond of someone who is not biologically related to you, I mess with heavy, and it is just so compelling. It's so good. Also, side note, it does have a bit of sex worker rep. In one of the later books, they befriend a succubus, and they speak very openly about her sex work, and they don't demonize it, and they also don't try to glamorize it either, but they don't make it seem like she is the scum of the earth for doing the work that she does. They treat it like any other job, and I think that's very commendable, and I really respect that part of this book. Coming in at number 3, we have The Beacon Hill Sorcerer by Sheena Jolie. This is her new pen name. She formerly went by S.J. Himes. This series has 9 books total. The first, called The Necromancer's Dance. And this book series, this is pretty exciting because this is personally my favorite creature to be a love interest. This book is perfect for vampire lovers. I believe maybe I'm too late, but I think that vampires are having a little bit of a resurgence, and I just love to see it. I think it's the Twilight fan in me, but I love a good vampire romance. And this series in particular, I associate with one of my more unique reading experiences, because when I got this first book, kid you not, I read the entire thing start to finish in one sitting. I did not stop. I just realized that I haven't been picking up the books. I do have, like, the ones I actually read physically, I have them here. I'm a scatterbrain, and so I forgot to hold them up for you. Like I said, I read this book in one sitting, start to finish, from, I believe it was like 11 a.m. to 3 in the morning. Oh, I just could not put this book down. Oh, it's so good. It's just so good. Okay, let me shut up and tell you about it. Being the only necromancer in all of Boston makes Angelus Salvatore a very high-profile sorcerer. So dealing with one of the local vampire clan elders is nothing he hasn't dealt with before. But what is new are the advances of said elder. If that wasn't strong If that wasn't strange enough, he also has to worry about someone using his little brother's boyfriend in a ploy to end his life. In his search to discover who wants him and his brother dead, Angelus uncovers old hostilities that ultimately lead to his parents' death. Can Angel figure out who wants them dead, while also trying to keep his heart safe from a very endearing elder vampire? Also, the interesting thing about this book series is that the first 3 books follow Angel and Simeon. Simeon is the elder vampire love interest. After that, the 4th book follows a different character, and then the 5th book also follows a different character. And then when you go back to book 6, I believe, then it jumps back to Angel and Simeon. So that's very interesting about this book. It keeps it fresh and unique. I like it. Like I said, this book is for vampire lovers. It deals with a lot of vampire politics, which I think is interesting. And a unique thing about this book is that the main character, Angel, he is a necromancer, which is very rare in this world, and it is a very highly coveted position and type of magic. And I don't read a lot. I have not read a lot of books with necromancer protagonists. So that was interesting. The way he uses his magic is quite fun. Angel, as a main character, he is very headfast, stubborn, and he has a very traumatic past, and so it does color how he behaves. And from a very young age, he has had to care for his little brother. His brother has a unique relationship with him because he views Angel more as a parental figure than his brother. Give me one moment. My roommate just walked in, and it's like a little hobby of mine, I write fanfic, and they are so kind. So they offer to proofread it before I post it. So give me 1 sec to give them my laptop. So part of Angel's personality is being very responsible and protective, but not in a creepy way. If you want my views on protectiveness and jealousy, please go watch my The Worst Tropes in Romance video. So he does have a lot on his plate, and he has taken no time for himself in the romance department. So when the elder vampire Simeon starts to hit on him and flirt, he doesn't know what to do. It's pretty funny. He doesn't know what he should do with these advances. He's always been so focused on his little brother and doing his work that he never really took time to ask himself what he wants romantically. And he really just, he's of the mentality that he just doesn't have time for romance. So it's really cute to see this love interest, Simeon, who knows what he wants, and he knows that he wants Angel. It's not that he's not taking no for an answer, because Angel doesn't really say no. He's just a little awkward. He doesn't know how to take his advances, and he just puts up a wall. But Simeon is not deterred by the walls that Angel puts up. He is willing to do the work. He is willing to show Angel that he does not have to do everything alone, that he can lean on someone when times get tough, and that he has someone in his corner. And it's really sweet. I'm kind of getting emotional just thinking about it. Simeon is, oh my god, he is such a perfect love interest. He's protective, but not overbearing. He is kind, and he is patient, and he treats Angel's family, his little brother, like his own son almost, and it's so sweet and endearing. And their relationship is goals. It's goals. So this book also deals with found family in a very different way. For any of you older siblings who felt like you had a bit too much responsibility over your younger siblings, I think you will really see yourself in Angel, and this story might resonate with you. That is the Necromancer's Dance. So a runner-up to first place, Branches of Past and Future. This has 4 books. The first called 3 Meant to Be. This book is by Emin Bennett. This is best for those of you who love a good magic school hold the turf. This book is about a telepathic high school teacher named Dorian as he prepares teen witches for professional casting because going in unprepared is what killed one of his partners. When Dorian kisses his still living on again off again clairvoyant boyfriend, Milo, he intercepts a vague vision of one of his new students, Caleb's, death. Refusing to let his student die, he must figure out how and who is responsible for his death, even if it means risking his own life or gambling away a second chance with Milo. Yes, you heard it right. One of his partners, in the past he was in a throuple, and one of them died. And now the living one, Milo, he has this very complicated relationship with, and their relationship has hit a bit of an impasse where Milo wants to stop pussyfooting around and really take things seriously. But Dorian is a little bit apprehensive. He is still dealing with the loss of their other boyfriend, and he has to make a decision whether to really take things seriously with Milo or end things. What complicates this even more is he gets this vision of one of his new students dying, and his situationship, I guess. Milo is basically like, I get these types of visions all the time where we don't have that much information to go off on, and there's really nothing I can do about it because it would just be wasting time trying to figure out anything about it. And he tells Dorian to just let it go. Don't put any more time or effort into this because you're only going to be disappointed. But Dorian cannot and will not take this as an answer. He goes out of his way to figure out who Caleb is and who is trying to kill him and how to prevent it. And this does drive a wedge between him and Milo. So he kind of has to, it feels like in the moment he has to pick between saving his student's life or risking things with Milo. So the plot is plotting, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm gonna put this down. You all see the book, right? It's just a little cumbersome to hold. Okay. Not only does this book have a really interesting magic system, like they go in depth with it, and if you like a hard magic system, I think you'll really like this book. It's somewhere in between hard and, no, I was gonna say it's somewhere between hard and soft. But no, I think it's strictly a hard magic system. Because he is a teacher, you do go in depth into the magic system. I quite enjoyed it. And also it has a grumpy sunshine dynamic. Dorian is very grumpy. He smokes. Not that all people who smoke are grumpy, but it fits the aesthetic, you know what I mean? And Milo is blonde. So those of you who don't love a blonde love interest, not gonna be the book for you. But he's blonde and happy and all sunshine and rainbows and innuendos. He's quite funny. So if you enjoy grumpy sunshine dynamic, you'll love them as a couple. I did. I will say that their relationship sometimes felt like it took a back seat to the plot, which I was not complaining. I thought it was the right amount of page time was given to the plot and the relationship. because the plot it's not heavy, but there's a lot of moving parts to the plot. So the relationship does need to take a back seat at times so you can really get invested. Because Dorian is a teacher and the plot directly involves one of his students, Caleb, you also get Caleb and a few other students' perspective. So that was really fun, and it switched things up. And it's almost like you had like, if the A plot is the Caleb dying and Dorian trying to prevent that, then the B plot is Dorian and Milo's relationship. You kind of have like a C plot, which is what's going on with the students' lives and the drama that goes on in, I believe they're like freshmen in high school. So that was quite fun. I really enjoyed it. It reminded me, this might be a little niche, but for any manga lovers, if you've ever read Negima, it really reminded me of how you would sometimes get looks into the girls' lives and how each of the girls had a unique power set, fighting style. It really reminded me of that. So I absolutely ate this book up. And if you have teachers in your lives who are queer or who love queer romance, I suggest getting them this book. I think they would enjoy it. It has, I feel like, fun little nods to teachers' frustrations with administration. The administration expects the teachers to do so much with so little. So that was interesting too, and a fun dynamic to this book. That is Branches of Past and Future. Now comes my number one pick and the best overall urban fantasy that I can recommend to you. Oh, I'm so excited. I absolutely love this series. Oh, it's so good. It's just so good. Coming in at number one is Spellbound by Haley Turner. This series has 7 books, the first being A Fairy of Bones and Gold. And this book is best for everyone. Everyone would enjoy this book. Everyone should get this book. And if I had to give a more specific accolade to it, I would say if you love world building is your bread and butter, you love a strong magic system, you love a world that feels lived in, especially if you're not new to urban fantasy, if you're not new to it, you're true to it. This has everything that is right with urban fantasy. Oh, it's so good. It's just so good. So the other series, I have been kind of paraphrasing the plot for brevity's sake, but this one, I want to read the full plot description to you so you really get an idea of what you're getting into with this book. It's a little long-winded, so bear with me. Patrick Hollins is 3 years into a career as a special agent for the Supernatural Operations Agency when the gods come calling to collect the soul debt he owes them. An immortal has gone missing in New York City, and bodies are showing up in the wake of demon-led ritual killings that Patrick recognizes all too early from his nightmares. Unable to walk away, Patrick finds himself once again facing off against mercenary magic users belonging to the Dominion sect. Standing his ground alone has never been a winning option in Patrick's experience, but it's been years since he's had a partner he could trust. Looking for allies in all the wrong places, Patrick discovers the Dominion sect's next target is the same werewolf the fates themselves have thrown into his path. Patrick has been inexplicably attracted to the man from their first meeting, but desire has no place in war. That doesn't stop Patrick from wanting what he shouldn't have. Jonathan De Verde? I'm gonna go with that. Jonathan De Verde is gorgeous, dangerous, and nothing but trouble. To the case, to the fight against every hell, and ultimately to Patrick's heart and soul. In the end, all debts must be paid, and Patrick can only do what he does best: cheat death. Come on now. How can you hear that plot and not want to pick up this book right now? And if you did listen to that plot and not want to pick it up, I'm just gonna chalk it up to my nasally voice. And I have a little bit of congestion going on. Okay, so this book, where do I begin? Where do I begin? A big part of this book is government organizations. Obviously, the SOA is a take on the FBI if it was magical. But a bigger draw to the book, I think, is its magic system and its world building, in the sense that every god of every mythology is real. That was very interesting to me. This isn't the first urban fantasy that's done this, but it does it in the best, in my opinion. It's very interesting how these gods work. They are, their magic system for the gods are faith-based. So if not enough people believe in the god, their power wanes and weakens. But if more people believe in them, then they are at their peak. So the more popular gods like Zeus, Hera, the Olympians have more power than a pantheon of gods from a mythology that not a lot of people know of. It's very interesting, and it also deals with how mythology changes and how one god could have a domain of something, but then over time, their mythology gets not corrupted, but twisted, and now all of a sudden their dominion and their power set have completely changed. So it touches on that, and I found that very interesting. Also, oh god, the found family in this, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. So this particular flavor of found family has to do with pack dynamics. If you are a huge werewolf fan, this is the series for you. The love interest is a werewolf. How werewolves are depicted in this are very interesting. It changes the lore a bit, which I appreciate. What I appreciate the most about how it changes the lore of werewolves is how it depicts pack politics and pack dynamics. So if you don't know, the whole theory behind how some men are alphas and some men are betas. I'm not talking about a megaverse, which I have a video on, by the way. But I'm talking about those insufferable men who are like, I am an alpha because I can bench press 330 and I have a 6-figure income and I'm not like those beta cucks and blah, 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 blah. Is based on, the whole ideology is based on this one researcher who published this paper a long time ago about wolf pack dynamics, and in it he found that the leader is the alpha and the beta is all that does. But he himself, I believe, he kind of recanted his whole theory and all that jazz because it was flawed, because it was based upon wolves in captivity. And like many animals, wolves in captivity act completely different from wolves in the wild. Actual wild wolves don't have that alpha pack dynamic. They, like, a pack functions like a regular family. You have the mommy wolf and the daddy wolf, and then you have their cubs. So a lot of werewolf stories go off of this flawed ideology of alphas, of that whole thing. And it's part of the reason why I was never really that interested in Omegaverse stories, because I wasn't educated and I thought that a lot of them went off of this whole manosphere type energy. And I do find that many books about werewolves also go off of this sort of manosphere type energy where you have an alpha and he's in charge and all this stuff. I just don't like it. Okay, I feel like I'm oversimplifying a lot, and I probably am. I'm not saying that werewolf stories are exactly like the manosphere. Not saying that. It just doesn't hit for me, okay? But how this book depicts werewolf pack dynamics, it is like you have a mommy and a daddy werewolf and then you have their cubs, right? It's like they're just like a family. And I love that. Like, oh my goodness, I love that. How many stories about werewolves do you know Maybe you read a lot more werewolf books than I do, but how many do you know that they have the alpha? The alpha shares responsibilities with another werewolf. Like, you have two alphas, basically. You have two alphas in this pack, and when you have two alphas in a pack, it feels way more like a family dynamic and not this weird cult-like gang thing. I don't like it. So that's very interesting to me, and it was so cool to see. And the packs, the main one that we follow, they feel so wholesome, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to join a pack. Can I join? It's so, it just hits you right in the heart. That's my sternum. It was like somewhere up here, but it hits you right there. Oh, it's just so good, so good. Also, another interesting thing about the werewolves and their pack dynamics is that you don't have to be a werewolf to join. You just have to be like a were creature. So in this world, you have werewolves, obviously, and they're kind of like, I guess you would say the standard, but you also have other were creatures. Like, you have a were tiger, and you even have, no, I was gonna spoil something, but I'm not gonna spoil that. But you have other shifter animals that can join werewolf packs. That's so cool. And it adds a completely new, interesting vibe to the whole thing that I mess with heavy. Jono as a love interest, he's pretty chill, he's pretty cool. He is very protective, as you would expect a werewolf to be, but he doesn't get jealous, which I love. Also, he's very respectful. He, like I said before, he doesn't feel overbearing. He feels like a normal, protective dude who he knows, like, he has the power to protect people. He has the ability, he has the means. He's very muscular. So he's this very special type of werewolf, what they call, he has like the god pack version of the virus that turns you into a were creature. He has that specific strain, and it makes him a little bit more special than other were creatures. And he knows this, and he doesn't take it lightly. It's something that he struggles with constantly, and he's a good person, so he wants to use his abilities that he was granted to help people and to protect people and protect the ones that he loves. But there is a lot of pack politics, not just his pack, but other, I believe there's 6 packs in New York, yeah. And other New York packs that he has to deal with and he has to take into account. He can't just like fly off the handle. He has to do it smart, and he has to be very calculating with his moves. And so he does want to protect people, but it's very complicated. And that part of his story I find very interesting and very compelling. So I don't think I said, but this book is dual point of view. You follow Patrick as a main character, but you also follow his love interest, Jono, which is really cool. I like that. Now, Patrick as a main character, he can be a little snarky. He also has a very traumatic past. I don't know if your main character has to have a traumatic past to qualify for the urban fantasy genre, but a lot of them do. So yeah, so he has a traumatic past, and he's very bitter, especially towards the gods, because he does have a soul debt he has to repay, and that really affects him. He was also in the military. He has, I don't necessarily think he has PTSD, but he was affected by his service, and he has done some things in his past that he is not proud of. And that comes through in some of the plot points in this book and later books. So he's a very complex character, and the main antagonist is very personal to him. I'm not going to spoil anything. It's not only world threatening, but he has a personal vendetta against this antagonist. So that's really interesting, and it makes the stakes not only higher, but a lot more personal and emotional. So when you get invested in this character, you are also wanting him to take down this antagonist, not only to save the world, but on a personal level, which I found very fun to read. Their relationship, Jono and Patrick, it's so healthy. I mean, it's so healthy. It is one of the healthiest relationships I have ever read in a contemporary or a urban fantasy setting. So that was amazing to read. It's not a slow burn romance per se, because they do end up together by the first book. That's not a spoiler. At least I don't think it's a spoiler. But how their relationship progresses is very realistic for someone like Patrick, who has a lot of trauma in his past, and for someone like Jono, who's dealing with a lot on his plate. Someone who has to be responsible for not only himself, but other people. So they both can't go into this relationship lightly, and they don't take it lightly. They take it very seriously. And it makes me so happy to see that type of realistic relationship representation in a book. It makes them feel more like real people. It makes me root for them a lot more. The way they love each other and protect each other is aspirational. If I was making a video, and who knows, I might, of my top relationships that I've seen in books, you wouldn't have to watch the video to know that they'd be number one. So maybe I won't make the video. But yeah, like, I just can't say enough good things about them or this book. As far as the plot goes, it's very engaging. It's fast paced, but not so fast it feels like you're speed running everything. You do sit with things when it's time for you to sit with certain plot points, but no plot point outstays its welcome, is what I'm saying. The characters, it has so many side characters that you just love, and they don't feel like they're there to further the romance or the plot necessarily. Yes, every character in every book is ultimately there to enhance the plot and to move the plot forward, obviously. But they don't feel like that, right? They feel three-dimensional. They have their own stuff going on outside of the main plot, outside of our main characters even. So it feels like many of these characters could have their own spin-offs, and you'd be like, oh my god, I would read that. And I think that's a high compliment. I think that's all I have to say about that book. If you take none of the other recommendations to heart, I do think this is one that you should, especially if you're looking to get into urban fantasy. This might ruin all other urban fantasies for you. But it has like 7 books in it, you'll be fine. It's a great one to start off with. It's so engaging. The relationships are so amazing to read, and yeah, it's amazing. I don't know. Oh, I will say, none of these books, by the way, none of them are heavy on smut. So if that is something you're looking for, I'm sorry to say these are not the books for you. I think any of these books, the most smut scenes that these books have are about 3. And even then, I honestly don't know if any of them have 3 smut scenes in them. But I am someone who is not in love with smuts. If you were to tell me you can either have a book with, I don't know, like 4 or 5 smut scenes or none, I would say none. It's just not my thing. I think smut is like any spice, too much, and it's unreadable. It's inedible. It's inedible. But just enough spice, I go like, okay, you did something. You know, like I can enjoy that. You know, it's like, it wets my palate a little bit. So yeah. So if you're looking for smut, these are the books for you. I am so sorry. I do read other books that have more smut that I could recommend in another video. So yeah, just not these books. I'm sorry to say. And if you don't like smut, these are the books for you. They do have smut in them, but like I said, it's 3 or less, really. And I think they are tasteful. I think they are hot. I think they're written well, and they never outstay their welcome. I can't tell you how big of a turnoff it is when the smut on page lasts 3 to 4 pages. I'm like, good God, man, what are you doing? Like, oh my God, I'm just exhausted reading it. I can't imagine doing it. Oh God, no. Maybe that says more about my sex life than anything, but we reached the end of today's video. Please tell me in the comments if you are interested in picking up any of these titles, or if you've already read them, what you thought about them. Please mark spoilers as such. And thank you for joining me. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Okay, bye.